Then Meek Mill came, but he couldn't get financing.
Meek Mill couldn't give him financing?
They don't.
These guys, they're full of shit.
Yeah, they're full of
Last July.
He loved the house. He was going to give. At that time, it was 5.2 million. Finished. I said, listen, I'll be honest with you. There's no way I can finish this house.
The timeline didn't wake up. It exploded. Because when 50 Cent starts talking money, it's never casual. It's never soft. It's never, let's keep this offline. Allegedly calling out Meek Mill over money talk, the internet reacted. Like someone leaked a financial statement mid-scroll. Screenshots flew. Group chats lit up. And suddenly everyone became a certified accountant with WI-FI. Was it shade? Was it sarcasm? Was it strategic trolling? Or was it just another classic 50 Cent moment designed to shake the algorithm awake? Because if there's one thing 50 knows how to do, it's turn a post into a spectacle. And when money gets mentioned, publicly, the internet doesn't scroll. It studies. This wasn't just rap commentary. This was financial flex culture colliding with ego and entertainment in real time. And when those forces meet, it trends. Hard. It started the way most digital storms do, with a post that didn't look like a storm at first. Just a few words, a little edge, a little sarcasm, and then boom. The timeline reacted like someone pulled the fire alarm in the middle of the stock exchange. Because when 50 Cent appears to address money, especially someone else's people, don't scroll past it. They zoom in. The alleged call-out aimed at Meek Mill over money talk immediately grabbed attention. Not because financial conversations are rare in hip-hop. They're practically part of the genre's DNA, but because of who was speaking. 50 Cent has built a reputation on sharp online commentary. He doesn't subtweet. He doesn't whisper. He posts with confidence and lets the algorithm do the rest. Within minutes, reaction pages amplified the moment. Captions leaned into drama. Emojis did the shouting. Words like shade and expose started floating around like confetti. At a parade nobody asked for. And once those words enter the narrative, things escalate quickly. Because social media loves a storyline with tension, supporters of 50 Cent were quick to defend him. They argued this was classic humor mixed with competitive energy. To them, it wasn't an attack, it was entertainment. They pointed out that 50 has always used social media like a stage, blending sarcasm with commentary in a way that keeps people talking. And keeping people talking is the goal in the attention economy. On the other side, Meek Mill's supporters weren't laughing. They questioned why financial narratives get dragged into public view. In hip-hop culture, money isn't just numbers. It represents status, success, and influence. So even perceived financial shade carries weight. It doesn't feel casual. It feels strategic. The framing of the moment mattered just as much as the content. When reaction pages label something as a call-out, it immediately sets the tone. Even if the original post was layered with humor, the caption can shift perception into confrontation. And once confrontation becomes the headline, nuance disappears. What made this louder is history. 50 Cent is no stranger to public digital sparring. His social media presence often blends wit with calculated commentary. That reputation means audiences expect sharpness when he posts. So when money talk entered the picture, anticipation amplified reaction. People didn't just see a post, they saw potential escalation. Meanwhile, the timeline split into camps. Some applauded the boldness, calling it fearless commentary. Others criticized what they saw as unnecessary financial narrative building. And neutral observers? They grabbed popcorn and watched the engagement climb. Because whether you're invested or indifferent, moments like this are undeniably entertaining. Another layer of tension came from speculation. Without detailed clarification, viewers started filling in blanks. Was it playful? Was it serious? Was it a business jab disguised as humor? Social media thrives on unanswered questions. The less context available, the louder imagination becomes. Memes began circulating almost immediately. One joked that 50 treats Instagram like a financial review board. Another compared the situation to rap culture's version of a quarterly earnings report. Humor became the internet's coping mechanism. But beneath the jokes was real debate about power and perception. The conversation quickly expanded, beyond just the two names involved. it became about financial image and hip-hop as a whole. Rappers often speak about wealth as proof of success. So when wealth becomes part of public commentary, audiences interpret it through a cultural lens. It's not just personal, its symbolic. Comment sections grew into digital battlegrounds. Supporters argued that public figures should expect public commentary. Critics countered that financial insinuations can spiral quickly. Every comment added momentum. Every reaction video extended the life of the story. And once momentum builds, it doesn't need new information to stay alive. The most fascinating element of Part 1 is how quickly perception forms. Within hours, audiences had already chosen sides. Some framed it as competitive banter. Others framed it as financial shade. And once narratives solidify online, they rarely soften. They linger. This wasn't about confirmed numbers. It wasn't about verified reports. It was about tone, timing, and interpretation. In digital culture, those three factors can be louder than facts. And because both names involved carry strong fan bases, the reaction multiplied exponentially. Another interesting dynamic was anticipation. Viewers didn't just react to what was posted. They started waiting for what might come next. Would there be a response? A clarification? A follow-up post with even sharper commentary? In online culture, suspense keeps people refreshing their feeds. Part 1 shows how a few words can become a headline without a press release. It demonstrates how quickly social media transforms commentary into confrontation. It highlights how framing influences perception before context has a chance to breathe. The alleged money talk became less about finances and more about positioning. In hip-hop, status is intertwined with image, and image is fiercely protected. So even playful commentary can spark defensive reactions when it touches on financial reputation. As the first wave of reactions settled into steady engagement, one thing became clear: this wasn't fading quickly. The conversation had traction. Reaction pages were still posting. Influencers were still analyzing. And audiences were still debating. What makes this moment compelling isn't confirmed conflict. It's the spectacle of reaction. It's watching how quickly social media can turn commentary into controversy. It's seeing how tone and timing can ignite discussion at scale. And now the spotlight stays fixed. Not because of a verified financial revelation, but because the internet loves a power play narrative. The question isn't what was meant, it's how it was received. And reception online is often louder than intention. Part 1 ends not with resolution, but with momentum. The timeline is watching, waiting, anticipating whether this was a one-post moment or the opening chapter of something louder. Because when 50 Cent speaks on money, even casually, the internet listens and reacts. The second wave didn't just keep the story alive, it inflated it. What started as a post turned into a multi-platform spectacle. Reaction channels began, breaking down the wording like it was a Supreme Court ruling. TikTok stitched clips together with dramatic sound effects. Twitter threads dissected tone, timing, and emoji usage like they were decoding ancient scrolls. And just like that, money talk became a cultural debate. Influencers jumped in fast. Some framed the situation as competitive banter, hip-hop's version of scoreboard energy. They argued that flex culture has always included playful jabs. If you rap about wealth, you open the door to commentary. That's part of the ecosystem. To them, this wasn't drama. It was brand positioning in real time. Others saw it differently. They suggested that financial insinuations, even when layered with humor, can carry heavy implications. In a genre where success is often measured in numbers, public commentary about money can shift perception quickly. And perception in hip-hop is currency. Once doubt enters the chat, it spreads faster than clarification. The meme machine leveled up next. One viral image joked that 50 Cent runs Instagram like a hedge fund manager with Wi-Fi. Another captioned it, "Rap culture, but make it quarterly earnings season." The humor kept engagement high, but beneath the laughs was tension. Because jokes in public feuds often mask real competitive energy, what intensified Part 02 was speculation. Without detailed context, audiences started connecting dots that may or may not exist. Was this tied to past interviews? Was there underlying tension? Was it business rivalry dressed as humor? Social media thrives in gray areas. And gray areas create theories. Supporters of Meek Mill rallied strongly. They emphasized achievements, milestones, and public success stories. They framed the moment as unnecessary provocation. On the flip side, 50 supporters doubled down, saying he simply knows how to keep the spotlight warm. And with both fan bases activated, the algorithm had no reason to slow down. Another dynamic emerged: ego versus entertainment. Some viewers argued that calling out money is part of hip-hop bravado. Others insisted that public commentary on finances shifts from playful to personal quickly. That debate fueled thousands of comments. And thousands of comments fueled trending status. Then came the reaction videos. Creators posted hot takes with bold thumbnails promising the truth. Some leaned toward humor. Others leaned toward defense. A few attempted neutrality, but neutrality rarely goes viral. The louder takes rose to the top. That's how engagement works. What's fascinating is how quickly the narrative expanded beyond two names. The conversation turned into a larger discussion about wealth signaling in hip-hop culture. Rappers frequently speak about financial status in lyrics and interviews. So when money becomes part of online discourse, it feels almost inevitable. It's the language of the industry amplified. Speculation about response timing added suspense. Would Meek respond immediately? Would there be a subtweet? A cryptic caption? Silence became part of the storyline. In digital culture, silence is rarely interpreted as calm. It's interpreted as build-up. The audience's anticipation grew. Refreshing timelines became part of the ritual. Every new post from either side was analyzed for hidden meaning. Even unrelated captions were scrutinized. That's the side effect of viral narratives. Everything becomes evidence once a storyline forms. Part 02 also highlighted how quickly public perception solidifies. Even without confirmed financial details, audiences formed opinions about positioning. Some viewed it as strategic trolling. Others framed it as unnecessary shade. And once those frames exist, they color future interpretation. Another interesting shift was how mainstream pages picked up the story. Once larger platforms amplify something, it escapes niche conversation and enters broader culture. That expansion brings more voices. More voices bring more interpretations. And more interpretations extend lifespan. What keeps this moment alive isn't confirmation. It's competition. The idea of two powerful names intersecting publicly creates inherent drama. Even if the exchange remains one-sided, the narrative of tension sustains interest. It's storytelling without a script. The cultural layer adds depth. In hip-hop, money isn't just personal, it's symbolic. It represents power, independence, and achievement. So any commentary perceived as financial shade touches more than ego. It touches image. An image is fiercely guarded. As the debate matured, the tone shifted from explosive to strategic. Viewers weren't just reacting anymore. They were evaluating implications. Would this impact collaborations? Business relationships? Public perception? Even hypothetical consequences kept engagement high. Part 02 proves something crucial: reaction drives relevance. The original post sparked attention, but the internet's response sustained it. Supporters, critics, meme makers, and analysts all contributed to the amplification. The story became bigger than the statement. And now the spotlight lingers. Not because new details emerged, but because the narrative has traction. The internet doesn't let go of traction easily. It rides it until something louder replaces it. The question now isn't what was said, it's what happens next. Does it cool down quietly? Does another post escalate it? Does silence shift perception? Because in digital culture, every pause feels like suspense. As the noise began to settle, something more powerful than outrage took over: perception. The memes slowed down, the hot takes became less frantic. But the narrative didn't disappear. It anchored itself quietly in public memory. Because once money talk trends, it doesn't evaporate. It lingers like background music you can't quite turn off. Now the focus shifted from the post itself to the ripple effect, not dramatic fallout. not headline-grabbing explosions, but subtle shifts in image. In hip-hop culture, perception is everything. And once a storyline attaches itself to your name, it becomes part of how audiences interpret you moving forward. For 50 Cent, the moment reinforced what many already expect: sharp online presence, fearless commentary, strategic provocation. His digital persona thrives on reaction. Whether people laugh, criticize, or debate, the engagement fuels visibility. And visibility in today's world is leverage. For Meek Mill, the conversation highlighted how quickly financial narratives can form without confirmation. Even if no concrete claims were made, the framing alone sparked debate. And when debate enters the arena, it shapes perception regardless of facts. That's the reality of digital culture. Interpretation often outpaces intention. What Part 03 reveals most clearly is that viral narratives don't need resolution to leave impact. They evolve into context. The next time either name trends, this chapter becomes a reference point. Remember when becomes part of the dialogue. That's how online memory works. It archives emotion, not just information. Silence played a role too. If no immediate escalation occurs, audiences begin reading into the quiet. Some interpret it as confidence. Others see it as strategic restraint. Either way, silence becomes part of the storyline. In digital spaces, even absence communicates. Another layer of consequence lies in brand positioning. Both names operate beyond music, business ventures, partnerships, public image. When financial conversations trend, they intersect with business perception. Even if nothing factual shifts, the optics matter. And optics in public culture are currency. Interestingly, this moment didn't require confirmed numbers to generate. Wait, it was powered entirely by reaction. That's the paradox of viral culture. Engagement can amplify interpretation without amplifying facts. And once amplification reaches a certain level, it feels significant regardless of substance. Part 03 also highlights the life cycle of digital tension: spark, explosion, debate, reflection, anticipation. That cycle repeats constantly online. Each stage leaves behind fragments of narrative that shape future conversations. The original post becomes less important than the reaction it created. For audiences, the takeaway becomes layered. Some see it as competitive banter, part of the entertainment. Others see it as unnecessary shade. And some simply enjoy the spectacle without choosing sides. But even those who stay neutral absorb the storyline subconsciously. The broader cultural conversation about money and ego in hip-hop continues beyond this moment. Financial flexing has long been woven into the genre's fabric. So when money enters public discourse, it triggers reflexive reactions. It's not just about wealth. It's about status, power, and credibility. As attention gradually shifts to newer headlines, this chapter transitions from trending topic to archived memory. But archived doesn't mean erased. It becomes searchable, screenshotable, referenced. That's the permanence of digital footprints. The real aftermath isn't explosive. It's cumulative. Each viral debate adds another layer to public identity. Those layers stack over time. They influence how audiences interpret tone, humor, and intent in future moments. What's striking is how quickly commentary can transform into cultural discourse. A few words sparked thousands of reactions. Reactions sparked analysis. Analysis sparked narrative. And narrative shaped perception. That entire chain unfolded without a formal press release or official confirmation. The spotlight now dims slightly. Not because interest vanished, but because the cycle moved forward. Social media always moves forward. Yet the echo remains. It shapes context for what comes next. The most powerful takeaway from Part 03 isn't about money at all. It's about influence. About how one post can ignite debate across platforms. About how tone and timing can outweigh detail. And about how reaction becomes reality in the court of public opinion. Now the timeline waits. Not for clarification necessarily, but for the next chapter. Because if history has taught us anything, when high-profile names intersect publicly, the story rarely ends at one post. In the world of viral culture, moments don't close cleanly. They pause, they linger, they evolve. And sometimes they resurface when least expected. This chapter may quiet down today. But the imprint it left, that stays. And in digital culture, imprints matter more than noise. Was this just classic 50 Cent? Trolling at its finest? Or did the money talk cross into unnecessary territory? Because let's be honest, one post just turned the timeline into a financial debate panel. No spreadsheets required. Just vibes, ego, and WI-V. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Pick a side if you want. Stay neutral if you must. But don't scroll silently like this wasn't entertaining. Do you think it was strategic humor? Competitive? Energy? Or just social media doing what it does best, exaggerating everything? If you made it this far, smash that like button like it owes you money. Don't tap it gently. Press it like you're auditing the algorithm. Because debates like this don't trend quietly. They trend loudly. And you stayed locked in the whole time. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Why? Because headlines don't schedule appointments. They drop randomly, escalate aggressively, and flip the timeline before you finish your coffee. And when the next viral clash sparks up, you already know we're breaking it down in real time. This channel isn't about choosing sides. It's about decoding the ripple effect behind the headlines, the tone, the timing, the reaction that turns one post into a full-blown narrative. Stay sharp, stay watching. Because in the digital arena, one caption can shake the culture until the next explosion hits. Fame blueprint. Blueprint.